I was at a family gathering last week to see my little cousins. We played a few games, had dinner, and started to watch a movie. As much as I just loved watching Dora the Explorer the movie. Did you know that existed? Because I didn't. I was glad to go back home. But instead of going home to recharge my mental battery after chasing 4-year-olds around with a piece of cardboard, I had to go home and start studying. I had two tests, a project, and not to mention regular assignments from my four other classes. It felt like I was training for the Olympics or something. And the cherry to top it off was that when I went back to school on Monday, I had a pop quiz. That was the second worst surprise in my life. The first was getting socks on my birthday. Not even the cute, funny cat ones. Just regular, old, boring, plain white socks. Anyways, a study from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence and the Yale Child Study Center showed that almost 75% of students' feelings towards school were negative. After asking the students about the causes, they concluded that these feelings were the result of stress. Sure, you could argue that there are resources given by the school, such as counselors or the occasional SEL lesson. But what most teachers and parents seem to miss is that most of these methods simply aren't effective. Most of the advice given by counselors or taught in SEL lessons is either about a specific social problem or to just take a moment and breathe when you're stressed. A simple breathing exercise simply isn't going to cut it when you're stressed to the point of panic. And socializing, for the most part, isn't the hardest part of high school. Sure, in movies and TV shows, high school is terrible because of the bullies and the exclusion, but in reality, we students are so swamped we wish we just had to socialize. This is why we need to stop overworking our students and instead strive to give a less stressful high school experience to the students. Today, I'll be talking about the causes and harms of this stress and then what we can do to potentially start solving it. First, the causes. The BNI Treatment Center, a teen mental health center, noted the five major causes of student stress. Number one, having packed schedules. Between family life, tests, projects, and extracurriculars, students barely have enough time to do anything for themselves. Heck, even this past week I was busy. I had a huge history test Thursday, a math test last Tuesday, and two projects that were just circulating around. If this is a regular week, I don't want to make it to finals. And this is the case for most students. At the end of the day, there's little room left for the student. Leading to the second cause. Not enough downtime. Parents today tend to get mad when they realize their child isn't spending a lot of time with the family. But in reality, that child is probably spending all the time that they have, leaving almost no time for themselves. A little subcause of this is the accuracy of perception that teachers and parents have. Teachers don't understand that while the work they give alone is perfectly reasonable, and when adding it in with assignments and tests from other classes, it becomes overbearing. And parents often feel that their children are spending too much time in their rooms. But what they don't understand is that most of that time isn't for themselves, it's for their classes and for their teachers. Downtime is especially important, as without it, we tend to not only suffer through our work, but also not do our best. This goes hand in hand with the third reason, not enough sleep. And no, parents, it's not because we're spending a little too much time on that darn phone of ours, or because we're drinking a little too much coffee. According to the Child Mind Institute, a leading factor in students losing sleep are the high societal expectations that society have put for us, such as waking up as early as 7:20 a.m., when many articles have accurately proven that teenagers' minds don't function well before 9 a.m. An article from the National Mind Institute showed that a sleep deficiency can lead to trouble learning, focusing, and reacting. It can also make you feel frustrated, worried, or cranky. Now, to deal with these packed schedules and not lose sleep, we would need exceptional organizational habits. The fourth cause, not having them. Guilty. If you all could see my room right now, your jaws would be on the floor, much like my clothes. But in all seriousness, good organizational habits are something that many adults today don't even have. So it's unfair to set these expectations for mere high schoolers. The last cause is lack of support. This can be boiled down to unfair teachers or parents who just don't understand what we as students are going through. They don't understand that with just a little bit of support, students can overcome many of these other causes. But unfortunately, this support is not something that most students have. So, now that we've discussed the causes, what are the harms? What bad can this do? Well, the harms of this are pretty simple. The harms of stress in and of itself are pretty simple. There are things like high blood pressure, muscle pains, and other cardiovascular issues. But something a little less straightforward is the cycle that stress causes. High stress also means low functioning, poor mental health, hatred for school, and eventually having students give up on school. Imagine this. You feel overwhelmed by all the work you have to do. Stressful thoughts about your workload creep into your head, so much so that you can't even focus. Anything new you want to try, or if you want to tackle the work you're so stressed about, you can't. You can't because you're stressed. What does that make you? Not a golden hippopotamus, but you guessed it, more stressed. This cycle is long and winding until eventually you catch a break, all because your teacher decided like giving a little less work that week. But these breaks are slowly not becoming enough. They're not consistent enough. You're getting more and more tired of having to repeat this cycle every single day until eventually you crash. There's a scientific name for this process. It's called burnius audius, or burnout. I made that first part up. But burnout just extends this repetition, adding more pressure on until eventually you can't even get your head clear enough to do a few simple tasks, which causes you to just break down inside. So, when students are dealing with all of this, what can we do to help? Well, there are a few bigger things like changing school curriculum, reducing homework, and tackling the problem at its core. But those seem a little out of reach, especially for an individual like you or me. What also helps, though, are the little things. Things as tiny as understanding when someone is going through it. Maybe being a little more lenient the next time someone's in a bad mood. As parents, you can try and help in ways a little different than usual. Rather than trying to continuously persuade your child to focus, maybe you can take a step back and help them by setting up an organizational system or clearing their workspace. And most importantly, understanding that they are sometimes as swamped as you. In conclusion, stress is one of the biggest causes of unhappiness in students' lives. It's something that can enclose their whole lives, but just a little bit of support can help change that. So, the next time you have a student or a friend or a child who's stressed, maybe try being a little more lenient and forgiving and try helping them out. Try helping them not with how you feel they need, but with what they feel they need. Thank you.